Welcome back. It's Monolito again. Alcohol, tobacco, firearms, coffee. And we've got Texas High Rye Bourbon from Balcones. Look at that. So this is the last bottle I picked up when I was at Balcones last year, September the 22nd. This is the Texas High Rye Bourbon. I really like the color scheme on this one. That green and the gold and white really pops, I think. Anyway, this right here was part of their 10th anniversary releases. I don't even think they make the High Rye Bourbon anymore. I haven't seen it. I looked on their website. I didn't see it on their website. I really wish they would release this again. This is some really good stuff. So this is pot distilled straight bourbon whiskey, 62% alcohol. So it's 124 proof. The batch number HR 818-1. It was bottled on May the 3rd of 2018. Which happens to be my daughter's birthday. And it's aged at least 32 months in oak. And again, never chill filtered. And this time it says or colored. So I don't believe they do any coloring on any of theirs. But this one says never chill filtered or colored versus never chill filtered as usual or as always. Distilled and bottled by Balcones. This one actually does have the mash bill on it, so I like that. It's 55% blue corn, 32% Texas rye, 7% specialty rye, and 6% Golden Promise malted barley. So that's what makes this high rye Texas bourbon. So the color on this, kind of a copper, brownish copper, kind of a almost like rust type of color. As you can see, as it's swirling, that's pretty viscous. Got long legs. If I can get that focused in there. Takes a while for that to beat up and start running down the glass. Swirling this around again, that's pretty indicative of Balcones, is that it's almost like syrup in a glass. That's how savory their juice is. Let's go to the nose on this one. So this is a high rye. So do get some brown sugar on this. There is an alcohol burn, 62%. It's not terrible though. But if you do take too deep of a breath, you can burn your nostrils there. You get a little, almost like a dusty, sweet, dusty corn. Candy corn, salted caramel, and a little bit of that rye bready type note. Nowhere near as candied as the True Blue. There is some sweetness, but this is not a sweet candied, at least to me, it's not a sweet candied whiskey. But again, smelling this makes my mouth water. It's just savory, and just the smell of it is almost syrupy, thick. It's kind of hard to explain that. why it smells that way, or that's just basically a memory that pops into my head when I'm smelling this. Let's go ahead and taste this. Again, making my lips smack. I'm sorry, but this is really nice too. There's a slight sweetness. You get a little bit. There's a tiny hint of like anise, black licorice. It's very, very tiny because I'm not a fan of black licorice or anise, but it's not. This is not off-putting. It goes with the flavors that are also in here. That sweet mixture, a little bit of oak. There's a slight alcohol burn, of course. For 62%, it's actually the alcohol burn is not as what I would expect from 62% alcohol. You get that smells good. You get the finish is still going. It's like a sweet, spicy type finish. Long finish. Great mouthfeel. You know, coats the tongue, coats the palate. You get kind of a wood oak type spice. A little bit of that rye spice. Caramel. A little more alcohol coming out the nose. Again, you know, 62% alcohol, you're going to get some of that nice warm feeling. That finish is still going. It didn't even go away before I took the second sip. It's still in there. A little bit of citrus. I'm picking up on the almost more specifically like a lemon. Not very strong, just kind of little hint like if you squeeze the lemon rind, you took the peel from the lemon, you just kind of squeezed it a little bit and just squirted out a little bit. That you get kind of that taste in there. It's not on the nose. Not getting any citrus on the nose. Just on the taste. Good stuff though. I'm kind of sad that they don't, maybe I should double check before I say they don't, but I have not seen this in any stores. I got this at the distillery. It was also $80 at the distillery, but it was part of their 10th anniversary, that whole thing. To me, worth it. I would, if they had this again, I would definitely buy that again. It's very delicious. When you go back to, after taking a couple sips, you go back to the nose, get a little bit more caramel over the brown sugar, so it's more caramel than brown sugar. Still get that salty caramel, and that for it being a high rye, there's the corn presence is very prominent in this, even though it was what did I say, 55% corn? Yeah, 55% blue corn, and then the 39% of it is rye. Yeah, it's not very on the nose. I would not peg this as a high rye bourbon. Very good. If you get a chance, if you can find this, Balcones does make a rye whiskey, a straight rye whiskey, but if you can find this high rye bourbon, this is some really good whiskey. 32 months, so 3 years. You can see the darkness of not super harsh on the nose or on the palate. Still get the, I mean, not going to get rid of that alcohol burn without adding a bunch of water to this. And for me, at least, on my palate, that black licorice anise is very, very, it's like the last thing. It's very, very low on the flavor wheel or flavor spectrum. So it's there. I get that hint, but it's definitely not off-putting. I like this. Put a couple drops of water in it. Again, I've experimented with this one. Had it in soda. It's okay in soda. Not nearly as good as the like the single malt or the blue corn. The blue corn was my favorite. And again, 1 milliliter. So I put 2 drops, so 2 milliliters of water in there. You can put more. I think when I got to 3, that's where it started getting just really kind of thin and oaky, and just it wasn't as enjoyable. So I stopped at 2. And again, most of the time, I'd say from the different things I've done with this, 90% of the time I'm drinking that neat. I've had the once or twice I've had it in soda, and then a couple times in water just to experiment with it, just to see if it opens it up, if it changes any of the flavors, if it changes the nose on it, things like that. Doesn't really change the color much. Doesn't change the viscosity too much. It does thin it out slightly, but not as much as it did for the single malt. Just a little bit there, you can see. So tamed down the sweetness on the nose. It wasn't candied sweet to begin with, but it's brought that sweetness down a little bit. Get more of a little bit more wood spice, oak, woody type notes in there. Alcohol burn tames down a little bit. Of course, it's not completely gone. But you still get brown sugar, caramel. I'm not getting so much the dusty corn. It's kind of just a corn, but before it was, I don't know how to explain dusty, but sometimes when you smell things, there's like a dusty effect to the smell. Like if you walked into a room that hasn't been dusted for a long time, or some old wooden building or something to that effect, you just kind of get that that memory pops into my head, kind of like dusty. Or if you've ever moved big bags of corn or any kind of grain or something like that, where you move it and dust kind of comes out of the bag, that's kind of that feeling that you get in there. Still good though. Let's taste it. Got a little spicier on the finish, like a hot cinnamon red hots. I get that with the slight, as first as it's going, through the palate, it's going back over your tongue. There's a sweetness, caramel, brown sugar, almost no black licorice or anise anymore with the drops of water in there. That's almost completely gone. And even though it has the caramel and the brown sugar, it's not as sweet as it was when it was neat. And then it turns into a little spicy, like red hots almost like you have a peppermint patty in your mouth, or where you get that little bit of spiciness. Finish is still fairly long. Well, maybe a medium to long. Finish goes down a little bit from when it's neat, but you still get that nice hug going down, as some people refer to it, the Kentucky hug. I guess this would be a Texas hug, since we're talking about Texas whiskey here. So it's more of a bear hug than it is a Kentucky hug. All right. Good stuff. I really do enjoy Balcones whiskey. I have not had a Balcones that I don't like. Probably the one that I like the least of all, and I may do a video on it, is their straight rye, but it's still, to me, in my opinion, a good whiskey. Take one more sip of this. Roll it around the tongue, move it around your palate, let it go down the sides of your tongue, and it just gives you that tingly feeling all over, and a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of spice. Really, really good stuff. Let me know if you've had it. I don't think I've seen any reviews on this one that I know of. Not saying that there's not any out there. But if you've had it, if you've been in the area, if you've been to Balcones and you were able to pick this up when they were still carrying it, when they still had it, let me know what you think. What kind of flavors you got on the nose, on the palate. What you think about the finish, all that kind of stuff. I'm curious to know what other people are getting out of these types of whiskeys. I truly enjoy them. I think Balcones is going to be around for a long time, putting out stuff like this. As long as they keep doing what they're doing, with the integrity of it, being open, telling you age statement, or I guess technically it's not age stated, but it does have an age on here. What's in it, the fact that they distill, they do everything from the ground up, I think is amazing. All right, there's another whiskey, another Texas whiskey, Balcones. Good stuff. Hope you get to get some of this and enjoy it. If you do, let me know. You guys have a great one. Cheers.